Geometry Dash is a very difficult game. Every time I open up TikTok or Twitter, I see some very abysmal opinion saying Geometry Dash and then the stupid greater than symbol 100 times, and it's like, bro. But hey, if Geometry Dash is a difficult game, what is the hardest part about it? Is it beating an extreme demon? Is it getting a bunch of bajillion stars? Is it getting all the icons? Well, I personally have spent the last 3 years trying to get this icon on the top right of my profile. These are creator points, and you only get them if the owner of the game sees one of your levels that you made and realizes, wait, this is like really good, and then gives it a couple stars and calls it a day. So how do you get these creator points and star rated levels and whatever whatnots that give you an ego boost whenever you see one? The thing is, I don't really know. I have no clue. I have spent the last 3 years trying to get this achievement, and I have no clear answer. But come with me as you go through my journey to try and get this number 2 on my profile. Whew, okay. Fat Liver is my first rate-worthy attempt level. This is the first time where I really thought, like, this could have a chance. I could get my first creator points. I could get my first rated level because I made the first part, and I was like, dang, this is pretty good. I had a full 1 minute, 18-second layout, and then I made the second part, and it was, you know what? It was all right. We could push through. I wasn't really happy with how it was going, and then I made the third part, and it just sucked. It just sucked. It was so bad that I just could not make anything in the level to fix it or save it, and since the level was like barely rate worthy, I had no idea what to do, and I eventually just moved on into cool layout. I don't know, or one fateful morning I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a super fun layout, and I eventually did because I just loved the song that was being used so much. Even though it was only 30 seconds, I had fun, and I made this really cool layout that I thought was fun to play and actually interesting gameplay wise. It was the best that I'd ever made, so I decided, you know what, I think I have a chance at decorating this. So I made the first part with just very basic, standard, easy rate, safe level stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Kind of like a generic style, but in 2.1 or in late 2.1. And so I made this first part, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I was learning how to actually use blending for the first time, which I was not good at all. And so by the time I finished this first part, I thought, hey, I have a chance at finishing this. If I can just extend it so it says it's a medium level, this might be a chance for a rate. And then I make the second part, and it is not the same. When I'm looking back at this part is actually really good. Like, I genuinely think it's better than the first one, but for some reason I thought it was so empty, and no matter like what I was making and with what little time I had to make it, it just wasn't enough. Like, I just kept throwing everything I had at it, and it was not working. So by the time I actually quote unquote finished this part, even though I never really did, I just had no motivation left to keep making this last 2 parts, even though it's a 30-second level. I did like 15 seconds of deco, and I called it as a failure. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this one. Meltdown. This is the time that Dambrion was really trending by making Rob Top level remakes, and I thought, hey, it would be cool if I just made a Meltdown remake. With all of the 3 levels in Meltdown, I could just mush them all into one, and it was really good. So this one's actually kind of funny. You can see that I'm using the song DJ Nate Thermodynamics. So it's starting to go really well. It's kind of annoying placing all these pulse triggers that I had here. And I make the first part, it's all right. I make the second part, it's actually pretty good. I was happy with how these gravity portals work and how I had this fake or normal size portal thing over here. And then something interesting happened. So if you've heard of the song Thermodynamics by DJ Nate, you may know that in a top 1 level at the time, Acheron, it kind of uses the song Thermodynamics. So after that got super popular and releasing a level with Thermodynamics would not work out at all, I just stopped making it. I just had no like reason to make this level anymore. After that, like, I just thought I had no chance, so I just gave up. But boom, failure again. Wait, I'm goated. Now this level actually has a big story to it. So at some point in 2022, I think about May or June or July, I start making a level. I'm thinking, hey, I could maybe make something with the energy of Geometrical Dominator with my own little twist. I think I've gotten pretty good as a creator where I could make a full level and actually have it rated or rate worthy at least. So I make the first part, it's pretty good. I make the second part, it's pretty good. I make the third part, it's okay. I make the fourth part. Yeah, you've probably seen this pattern before. Every part just steadily gets slowly worse until I just stopped making it. But this one was a little bit different. So yeah, I stopped making it after a couple parts, but then I came back and I pushed through, and then I left, and then I came back and I pushed through because I saw some potential in this level. I thought it had a chance, maybe not rate, but just some fun stuff, like to actually have something that I'm proud of. I had some very interesting gimmicks and design choices that I thought, like, hey, I should really make sure this project comes into light. So I pushed through and I make another part, and then I take a break, and then I push through and make another part, and I'm thinking, wow, this is so good sometimes. And then sometimes I'm thinking, wow, this level is terrible. It sucks. I'm kind of having mood swings with my own Geometry Dash level that I'm the only one I know about. Until I make one more part and I think, wow, this one is so bad, I think I have to let it go. But I'll keep it for later if I ever feel like it. But then over time, as I make a bunch of different challenges and random levels that I don't care about rates or the full deco, I start to realize, hey, some of these featured levels are really basic. I could make a basic 2-colored level and it would probably get a rate as well. So I gave myself a challenge. I'm gonna make a level in a very short amount of time. So this was my first actually fully decorated long level, and it is not good. Let me just say that. Now, I came into this level thinking like, hey, it's gonna be very empty and 2-colory and samey and just white basically, but it's just very unpolished. Like, I had some very good ideas, like the start with the toggle orbs is pretty cool, and some of these block designs aren't actually that bad, but like, I don't think anybody wants to spend a minute in the exact same decorated ball part where they don't see where they're going, especially when the colors just do not work at all. By the time I finished this, I was kind of satisfied with just like, hey, it's my first full level basically. Even if it wasn't good, I was kind of satisfied with that, but obviously not satisfied enough to be happy and stop creating, which brings me into Unalive Alive. This was for a Geometry Dash build jam, but a Geometry Dash build jam gives you about 4 days to make an entire level in Geometry Dash, which for somebody at my skill level was not a good idea to try and do. Overall, I actually made my best level ever, even if it was not good at all and very unpolished and very rushed. I actually did some new stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting. Other than that, it did actually have some cool stuff. Nothing really like interesting to note, but I was slowly getting better and slowly getting better, even if this level was a failure and had some very off looking design choices. It was all right. So now I had been making a couple YouTube videos on my Twigsy channel, but nothing about Geometry Dash other than some random 2-minute click video that I did. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna come back and make an entire level in one singular day. And it actually wasn't that bad. Did I think it was good enough for a rate? No, absolutely not. So after I finished on Alive Alive, I'm thinking, what can I do to make another level? And then I realized, wait, I do have a level. Wait, I'm goated. Or this was called, I don't even know what it was called. I threw a bunch of different names around, but I had this level that I had maybe a minute out of that was not done. So I just pushed through and I make another part. Was it good? No, but I was just having fun making a level. That was really nice. Until eventually I realized, I think I have a chance to get a rated level. I think my building skills are good enough. And then I start my next big project. So I open up my computer, I turn on my monitor, and I say, hey, if I want to make a full Geometry Dash level that's really good, I need to give myself the time and due dates to do it. And then I get the genius idea, oh my gosh, what if I just spend an entire year making a Geometry Dash level straight? What could go wrong? I would totally not procrastinate every single part until all of them are somewhat mediocre and barely not rate worthy. I would never do that. Welcome to year round. I'm sure the majority of my viewers know me because of this level, obviously, so I'm gonna go over it quickly. So in this project, I just make part after part after part after part, and I make video after video after video after video, and I am tired at some point, and near the end I'm about to fall off. I'm about to fail because I've been making this exact same Geometry Dash level for an entire year, and I lose motivation, and then boom, out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, it was supposed to happen 2 months before, Geometry Dash 2.2 comes out, and then I finish the level. I finished the level with the motivation I gained from the new update, and then I post it, and then I realized, wait, 2.2 released on December 19th. I started my level, or I made my level from January to December. So just about 11/12 of my level was made in the wrong update. And then boom, it was not good enough to get rated, and it was another failure in the books. That's kind of unfortunate, I think, but hey, I kind of have a YouTube channel now, so I think it's not to complain about it. It kind of made me, but this was a year of straight work that I put into making this Geometry Dash level, and to see it fail like this in the end on that one thing that I was going for, which is to get it rated, kind of hurt a little bit. Even if I don't like saying it, it still does, really. But hey, Geometry Dash 2.2 came out with a new thing called platformer mode. So I start making platformer levels. The first thing I do is try and make only up in Geometry Dash, which is a really good idea until you realize I have never made a platformer level in the game before. So having an insane project like this, the first thing I step into 2.2 was not a good idea, because when I made it this far and I realized, hey, this isn't actually as good as I think, I gave up. Again, I gave up. Even though this had so much potential, if I was just a bit bit better as a creator. I hated to see such a unique idea go to the dump just because I really wasn't good enough at the time. So I get another crazy idea. What if you make Geometry Dash level with guns? And so I make the technical stuff, and then boom, you can shoot a gun. No way. So I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have a full reason why I didn't make this level. It's kind of just time and motivation, really, because the level itself is pretty good. I think it has a chance. Who knows? I could even finish this in the near future and be like, hey guys, I talked about this level before. It's pretty cool. I streamed it a couple times, but who knows? I could even come back to this. And then I want to be the Sigma. This was kind of just made for a video. Did I think it would get rated? I thought it had a chance, but I think deep down I knew like, no, this is not happening. But I had fun making actual platformer levels that I thought were decent until I come back and I realized I definitely am way better at just making regular levels instead of platformer stuff. Welcome to Awesome Sauce. This is my first rated level. So I'm going to be taking you through all the cool stuff that I made in this level, some of the thought processes that I had, and I guess some stuff that you could add to your own levels to maybe get your own first rate. So the first thing you see when you enter this ship part is these fading saw blades that you go through. Now these are pretty simple. What it actually is you have these regular saw blades that are here, and then these fake ones, which are on a group, and these guys are actually on no touch. So if you go through these in the path that you're actually supposed to go, you're not going to die. And then to add the effect, so you can actually see like a little bit more interesting on where you actually have to go, just so it's a lot less memory based, I have this area fade for all of those fake saw blade guy group, which just fades it out. It has a bit of a dead zone, so it is faded out for a lot longer than it should be. Then in this first part, you have these rotating saws. Now I've seen a lot of stuff like this before, but I haven't seen anybody make a circle the way I do. So the entire circle I have here is actually this one object, this particle trigger. So how to make this is you just have a bunch of particles with a negative emission and then a negative duration, so it just stays there. And then you make the start radius the end as the end radius. So if I make this like 150, it's going to go in like that because it's not at the same spot. If I make it a lot less, it's going to expand out. So you can do some cool stuff with that as well, but I want these to be static, so it's just going to stay in the same spot like that. But into the second part, I didn't really have anything too interesting in here except for maybe this guy. The "Are you ready" sign, this is on a group 25. It's really just a complicated area move. You can see it go in and then fade out through the top there. That's because I have a random offset along with the main offset, so it'll move up to this area here where this guy is, but it'll be a little bit random so it isn't just like completely off. But now we have the real fun. So the background that I have in this first part is the most important part of this entire level, even though it is kind of just a plain-ish background. But you can see it moves a lot, all the colors are changing, and it's not just a plain gradient that you'd think it would be. This is because the only thing better than one gradient is two gradients. Wow. So I have this gradient here, which is on the two opposite colors, and then I have this gradient up here with the two other opposite colors, and these guys are on two different groups, and throughout the entire part they rotate like a lot, so you can see that it really moves. Holy. So when you add some effects to this background, it looks pretty cool and energetic. If you change up the rotations, add some split screens, have some pulses, it's pretty cool. The next part is this kind of sub background. It's these rotating lines you'll see. It's a very subtle effect in this first part, but this was the most complicated effect that I have in here. So all the way on layer 16, I have all of these complicated triggers and keyframes. Let's show you how this works. But I'm gonna take all this into a new level. Hold on. So when you put it in a new level, this looks very interesting and it does not make sense. But once I put all of these guys on detail 10, black blending, all of a sudden it works. So how does this actually work? What's basically going on is you have these guys, which are actually these guys, or if I deselect it, it's actually these blocks right about here, which are very warped to make it look like lines. And the benefit of this is you have these lines, which are half this color, which is white, and half this color, which is invisible, which means if you rotate it, the center, or the center of gravity, when you rotate it, will always be at that halfway point, and you get one half, which will always be that color, and one half, which will always be invisible. So as it moves its way along, it slowly rotates like this, and then as it goes along like that, it'll look like a 3D effect. I know that sounds confusing, but if I slow this down, you can see the individual lines going through. It's kind of buggy, but you can see the lines going across, slowly being turned on both sides. And the best way to do that by consistently repeating a bunch of lines is with the keyframe triggers. So on the top here, I have this keyframe and this keyframe, which will move this, which is at this conveniently placed angle, over on this side with the full rotation. And then I put the first one on here on this spawn trigger, which will spawn and spawn and spawn and spawn and spawn on this loop. And then slightly delayed, I have the next one, and then slightly delayed, I have the next one, and the next one, and the next one, which means they all go in a conveniently placed order. It actually works. I was shocked that this worked the first time. It took me a couple days to make, but once you put it all together, you get this really energetic thing. And then even with the simple block designs, it looks very fun to play, even though the gameplay is genuinely not good. So since I have all that stuff moving at once, it looks a lot more interesting than it should be, even because it's just plain black block designs, basically. Even though you have all these triggers doing things with shaders and stuff, and then these keyframe stuff, it's actually a lot more simple than it looks. I think this is actually my favorite technical aspect of the level, is this trail here. You can see behind me on both players that I have this very starry, colorful trail that follows your player, which is obviously not my texture pack or anything because I don't have a texture pack. It's custom made in the level editor, and this is very simple to make. So I'm gonna make a new level. So I'm gonna put this star guy right here on group 1 like that, and I'm going to make it follow the player not with a move trigger but with an advanced follow. So they target group ID group 1 and then follow group ID player 1, and then I'm just gonna put the speed at the max, and that is all you need to do for the advanced follow. You can even just leave it like that, and you can see here if I put it on T1, it's following the player no matter what you do. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide this, and I'm gonna make a particle. Any sort of particle can work as long as you just put it on a new group, as long as you put it on animate on trigger, I believe. And then I just like having one particle here, a lifetime of a certain amount, and then an emission of the max, make sure it's always on the max, and then a duration of more than its lifetime. Can be more, it can be the exact same. I just like having it like this. So I like turning down the post variation and the speed just so it's in the exact same spot as you left it. And then I'm just gonna make it really big but slowly go down in size. So you have the square that goes down over the course of 1 second. So now I'm gonna have a spawn particle trigger right here, which is going to spawn particle group 2, which is the group for the particle that we made, onto position group 1, which is the player. Now you don't have to do any of this stuff here. Maybe if you want an offset, like if you want it directly at the left of the player, then you can do that, but I don't usually touch this at all except for the spawn trigger, multi-trigger. And then I put this, actually I don't put this on a group because I can go up here and press create loop. So this is spawning basically infinitely. I'm gonna put the delay on anything you want really, so I'm gonna put it on 0.1, and you can see, boom, I already have a particle trigger here. Now you can tweak out some stuff like making it actually behind the player so it's like this, or you can make this delay faster so it spawns particles faster. Now you have this insane trail of blocks that are going here. Now what I love about this is you can go completely ham. I'm gonna do the most basic of the basics, and I'm gonna have a circle, and this is just a complete trail of anything you have. So back in Awesome Sauce, you can see I have 2 of these particles and actually 2 of these advanced follows because I have 2 players. It's a dual part. So I have to make one that follows player 1 and one that follows player 2. And then I have these spawn particles, which will spawn particles on both of these groups. And you can see I only have 2, even though you'd think it would be 4. It's because both of these guys can just be on the same group. It doesn't matter. I love the way that I've made this. It's really easy to make. But I have this guy, which is a very light circle. You can't even see it in the editor, but it is there. You can barely tell. And then these flashing stars, which take up more of your attention, but not too much. And then both of these guys are on a very random RGB and a very random spin. So it's basically different every time it spawns. And then when you put it all together, you get this very cool trail. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with this. So in the second part, you just saw that crazy intense background. And this one is actually a lot more simple than it looks. So if I go onto the group here, which has a lot of blocks, you see group 14, and oh my gosh, that is a lot of objects. But you can see I've linked one of them up. So I'm going to copy paste this. So these guys are all linked up to one of these groups. So let's say I'm going to get the square on group 88, boom, right here. And then this is on a copy background trigger. So I have 88. This is going to slowly rotate. And this guy is going to have a bunch of pulses as well. You can see, boom, 88 pulse. And every single one of these blocks is a little bit delayed. So this one will spin a little bit slower than this one, which will spin a little bit slower than this one, which will spin a little bit slower than this one, which will spin a little bit slower than this one, which will spin a little bit slower than this one at the top. And then they all pulse slightly different colors. And then once you put that all together with a bunch of different ones and then put a little bit of shaders on there, boom, you get this, which looks a lot better than it seems, even though it's really just a bunch of spinning blocks and then a split screen and a motion blur. It's really just a bunch of blocks with a bunch of different colors with a bunch of different spins. Or now moving on to part 3 from the drop, at least. This is my favorite part by far. I think the contrast is really good, and even though it might be a little bit repetitive, I like that it is the most repetitive part because it is my favorite part. Even these block designs are actually a little bit more original. They actually have colors, but you can see in the front here that these colors are all the same, and then when I play it, they're all wacky and different. So all of these guys are on group 100 101, and then a lot of other blocks are as well, like these flick indicators. So group 101 is the result of all of these area tint triggers. So all of those are the result of these two area tint triggers. So this one, you can see the offset is placed all the way at the left, and this one is placed all the way at the right. So basically you have a center at the left side and a center at the right side, and then the middle is actually what is not being affected by this area tint trigger. And then on the left side you have a hue -180, and on the right side it's a hue +180. So what this does is, since you have the -180 on one side and the +180 on the other side, if you go straight through, you get a full range of every single color on the spectrum, which is what makes this block design look as rainbowy as it does. But the next rainbow part is, you can see the background gradient trigger is being covered up a little bit by the 3D parts, which it's not. It actually is not. If I go all the way back here and then I go to these gradient triggers, you can see it has the top left at 35 and the bottom right at 36. You can easily just move this over, and then the gradient is a lot different. So you can see I use it to my advantage a lot when I'm doing transitions. I kind of squish the gradient background in to make it seem like there's like a black void coming into the level, but it makes the transitions a lot easier when you can just move around all the gradient stuff like that. And then in the next part, you can see I just keep the gradient on this one side. So it's really just the bottom of the gradient is at the end of the 3D effect thing, and the top is at the top of, or the bottom of the 3D effect thingy. So you have this kind of window in the back, or in the background of the gradient, which I thought was amazing. I kind of stumbled into this. You can see when I made the layout, I had this part here, and then I had the backwards part, and then I had this part, and then I realized, like, wait, I don't need to make new effects and stuff because it's already been made for me. I just had to make those slight tweaks, make it a little bit different, and then I had like a night mode even in my first part, which I thought was pretty cool. And then I used that transition with the gradient trigger to kind of make the end a little bit more climactic, to kind of close in on you, and then boom, I have the end screen, which is, you know, it's an end screen. It's not supposed to be super technical, which I left it like that, even except for this insane coin route that I made in the last second. Now I'm talking like this is some very easy task to make all of these effects. It was not. There were a lot of problems that I had making this level. I remember one time I accidentally deleted the level. I'll show you what I was doing. I was playing recent levels. I would die, and then I would delete the level, and then I accidentally went back in my level, played it, and just deleted the level. So I lost like about 2-3 weeks of progress. I had to remake all of it. And then one time I was playing the level, and then I pressed the regroup button, and everything just broke. Every single thing that was on a move trigger completely moved out of the way. So I lost about 2 weeks there. So it was definitely a hassle sometimes making this level, but I stuck to it. I think that's a big thing about making levels. You kind of have to stick to what you're doing and be confident in what you're making. Like, it might not be rate worthy, but if you're happy with what you're making, I think you should be proud of yourself no matter what result you get. And then you will get better and improve yourself to the point where you do get a rate, just like I did. So after about 3-4 months of making this level, I finally finish it, upload it to the servers, and then boom, what do you know? Awesome sauce, insane demon. I think I was intending to make this like a medium demon at the start, and then I kind of messed it up, but hey. But now after 3 years of grinding, I can finally click on my profile and see that I am a proud owner of creator points. Please don't abbreviate that. And now genuinely, I don't know what to do. Should I quit the game? Should I be a pro Celeste player now? Or I could work on another big project, try and get this count higher, just like my insane last big project, edging challenge by Twigsy. Please play it, guys.